Do you ever think if you were to enclose one side of a star and just leave a little bit of the star showing out, do you think that it would make the star travel by using its light? So if you were to encase the whole star, let's say with a load of panels, let's say, heat-proof panels, beautiful, and you were to leave a little piece sticking out, do you think the star would start moving? And then I got another question for you. Do you think the planets would follow? Yeah, I'm serious. So you think about a star, yes, it's pushing out light in all directions, which is going to cause it to rotate, yes? So do you think if you were to capture that, all that stuff that was pushing out, it could only go one way, would it actually act as a propellant when you encase the star? Interesting question, isn't it? I know there's no right nor wrong answer to it, but bigger the star, bigger the movement. If you were to encase all of it, it only had one way for the light to travel out, which would be quite a bombardment of particles, yes? Do you think that's enough to spit out of there in order to cause it to begin moving? It's like an ion drive. Do you know what an ion drive is? I don't know if I got the time to explain it, but still, and this causes propulsion. Did you know that? Slowly but surely, it starts off very slow, but once it gets going, that thing's out of there. Do you remember last year when we were walking by and we saw that runaway galaxy? What it looked like? It looked like a galaxy flew by really fast. But it was apparently Elon Musk's rocket malfunctioned. Looked like a galaxy to me. Honestly, that looked like a fucking galaxy. Now, if that was a galaxy, right? Man, that was moving quick. Where the hell are you going in a hurry? Come back here. You've got resources. It's flying resources. Where the hell are resources going? But no, and then there's the whole thing of understanding a light bulb, yeah? And if you get something to rotate around it, causing friction. Well, not friction. I would say static. I'm pretty sure that you can get a bulb to light with this. It would aggravate the bulb and generate energy. Because, what was it I was fuck-assing around with? I was playing around with a tube, one of those tubes. And I was hitting it with loads of different materials and it began to illuminate, which was quite fascinating. If you put that in space, could that also be a propulsion? Once you've got that thing orbiting around it, also known as a friction generator, and once you've got that generating the friction and you get it started, it's going to take a very long time for that to stop. If not very rarely, it probably won't stop. There's many ways to keep that in perpetual motion without ever needing any fuel. There's lots of ways to do it. One particular way, I don't know if I already want to dig into it all, but still, I just want to surface dive on this one, although it seems very deep. We're not going Mariana, more like Olympus Mons. No, I'm just kidding, because that's Valles Marineris. The crater in Mars. Doesn't that sound better? Well, that was easy to say. Why didn't you say it? I just did. But, there's several things that you're going to need when traversing the universe, and it's light. There's also heat. Good job, secondary, really, isn't it? Among other things, all of the life support systems. We take it for very much granted, don't we, life support systems? We think that it's just... We just think that it's oxygen and pressured environment. But it's actually light. Heat. Cooling. Man, there's so much more than just pressure and heat. So the moon, right? If there was a greenhouse on it, let's just say, do you think that humans would make that rotate? Or speed it up? Make it rotate much like the Earth, so that you could see both sides of it. You look really confused, like you have no idea how to make things rotate.
They would make rotate more.
The moon rotate, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So it spun faster than what it did.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. You know, if the Earth is traveling too fast in rotation, you would look up at the sky and think that there were disks everywhere. You wouldn't be aware of it. You would probably think, oh, I'd be very dizzy. No, you wouldn't. But the light would streak across the sky. The stars wouldn't look like stars. They'd just look like disks. And then you might come up with a disk theory. Yeah, if the planet is rotating really fast, yeah, you would think that everything was like plates.
That would be dome with lines.
Well, you wouldn't be able to see it. You would see rainbows. Because it would be night then day, yes? Night then day, night then day, night then day. But for the night, you would see the star streak, but during the day, you probably wouldn't. And the sun, how would the sun look? It wouldn't be a dot in the sky, would it? It would be a line, depending on how fast it goes. Which would then have to, the brain would have to either A, kick up a gear, or B, kick down a gear. You know, we're talking about how many different ways are there to see, and then who's seeing in the correct format, with so many possibilities. I mean, when we start looking at the light spectrum, and you think how many different tunings you can get into, that's just one side of it. Now we'll look at the minus light spectrum, which would be the darkness spectrum, and if you could see that, how many variations of it in reverse are there? So, you know, plus 50, and then down to minus 50, or minus 350 plus 350. 0 being the middle ground. And then you have that duality, don't you? And that's not it either, because then you've got inner world. Much of a better word. We have a lot of sensors in the body. We have loads. So you've got pressure points. And everyone's like, oh, what are those pressure points for? Well, if you push them, they feel really nice. I can assure you, back in the day, that was not a nice feeling. See, you evolve. When you evolve your instruments or your tools to see, tools to navigate. Which is quite fucking interesting. Like evolution in bacteria, very different kettle of fish to evolution in life forms being humans. You see, there's multiple different versions of life. Who's living the correct way? Who's seeing life in its true format? Well, if we see it from bacteria being microscopic, so is the microscopic spectrum the best way? Is that the true way? Then the atomic level. So from atoms' perspective, let's say, is that the correct way to see life? Zoomed out even further, giants, is that a correct way to see it? Is sight a correct way to see reality? Based on vibration?
Is that correct way?
All of them. But you could never imagine all of them merged into one. It overload the brain, I think. Well, the brain at the moment would never be able to see all of those things. It would overwhelm you. Too much information would come in and probably fry the human or the vessel. It's way too much. And then you would have a hard job of which one do you want to pick. You see, it gets complex. So if you could see your third eye out in reality, which you can force this. There's also another way of forcing things. You can force outwards. I only suspect it's a magnetic field. See, I can push it and I can pull it. And there's been a lot of instruments that I've had on me at the time, and it alters them. So, again, and one makes you feel cold and one makes you feel hot. So depending on what you do. Now, I can do this at will because I find that we do things automatic most of the time. So, imagination. That one is usually automatic. Oh, sorry, I didn't know. Did I zone off? I did zone off. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't being rude, just tired. See, it's mainly automatic. Yeah, automatic, autonomous. And we live this autonomous lifestyle on a lot of things. So there's that whole, before you go into a daydream, isn't it? The veil of one and the other. Well, I force it. And, you know, I think to some people this like sounds crazy, right? But when you think about it, if I'm crazy, then so are you. I don't really care whether it is crazy or not. Whatever. It's just another way of you viewing reality from... And if that helps you deal with what information comes in by labeling it crazy to try and squash it down for it to get in, then that's cool. I'm cool with that. That's your way of seeing it. I don't agree, but we'll agree to disagree. And your way to see it, I'm pretty sure that if I heard you speaking about this and I didn't know how to, or understand how to do that, I'd have to try and squish this into a narrative to try and get it to go in. If not, it overloads the brain, right? And that overloading, well, that's malfunction. Can't exactly reboot. What's wrong with this one? I don't know. I think his cheese has slid off his... Yeah, I think this one's toothpaste is emptied out of the tube. What are we going to do? I don't know. Let's just reboot this human. I mean, it's not a process of that. So in order to stop you from getting to a crash in that way, you have to label it with something to try and squash it. So, yeah, but when you think about it, to say that you can see reality or quantum out in your reality, does it sound crazy to you? Which it probably does, yeah? You start looking at me with a bit more... It's okay. You can relax to say this. I'm never going to take it all... You hurt my feelings. First, I'd have to have some. Second, I'll pull out the narcissist in me. I'll let that stand. He'll take it. Split personality, or do I have a twin? Anyway, but still. So, it's okay to label things honestly. I prefer it honestly. As long as it's constructive and it's no malice, then it should be cool to put that out. But when I say things like this, even you have a hard job with assessing my sanity. In fairness. And then, if you pay attention enough or you get inquisitive enough, then you look at it and you're like, If you think that that's crazy, can I help you see it in another way? Just really quickly, off the bat. You're not a bad person for thinking that. I think it too, if realms be reversed. Have you ever sat there and began to daydream with your eyes open and could have sworn it was the most realist thing that you ever saw? The most vivid daydream you can ever recall. And I bet there's loads of them. You've got a whole catalogue of daydreams. Do you ever remember any of them? Some of them? Or you know... When a teacher was reading a story back in school. I don't know if you remember that far back. You know, and there's a... You like reading. So clearly you must be building a picture in your mind.
But I didn't as a kid like it very much. I would read
You didn't like it very much.
I would read necessary stuff. I learned to read longer stuff later.
Do you imagine it? Does it play in your mind? Sometimes when you're reading a book, if you've ever seen anyone read a book, they get stuck on pages for the longest time ever. I was obsessed with stopwatches when I was younger. I don't know what it was about them, it's just timing things, right? And I noticed that everyone has their own time, but it was fascinating when you watch people read a book. Now, I ask them to read aloud. One, because it helps me, and two, I was experimenting. So I start the stopwatch, and on it goes. I turned off the beep. And they're reading it, and there's no stops in it at all. And then they're like, whew, alright. Now I've just imagined what they've said. Then I stop the stopwatch. Alright, that gives you around, a word a second, give or take. You slur on some of them when you need to take the full stop, so that's 2 seconds that you take. It's 1.5 seconds for when you see a comma. So based just on that pause alone, I know when you've put a comma and I know when you've put a full stop. Just based on that. So I can hear that myself. And there is a slight 2-second delay when there are conflicting twos come up. So that's a processing of two. And then there and here. These types of words give a longer... You almost think that there's a full stop, so you're sort of leaning in. Wait. Oh, the word. This particular word, because there's multiple variety, I think that they are telling themselves in that moment, it means this here, it means this there, it means this too. And there are slight pauses in that. So if we minus that, that's about a normal baseline. 1.5 with comma. It's about 2 for a full stop, and there again, conflicting words also cause this delay. And, you know, a word per second, not bad. Then I leave them back to it. And what's strange, they go back and reread that. That's interesting. Because they couldn't imagine it, because they were too busy reading it. And then were trying to deliver the speech pretty well. So they didn't have enough time to envision it, which is interesting. And I didn't have enough time to read it, so I was able to envision it more. See, we kind of, I guess that could be quantum building. That's why reading is good, but also reading is good. And hearing read words is also good, if that's even read, past tense. No. Now, when they're reading it, there are discrepancies in certain pages. They're not rereading it, because that would be mathematically calculatable based on the time. You read it about this, your baseline is about this. But they kept pausing for long periods of time. Some of it would be up to 5 to 10 seconds, sometimes even 15 seconds. Do you know what they were doing? Visualizing, but didn't realize it. And that fascinated me, because when I asked them, oh, you took a little bit longer to read that. Oh, I didn't know you was watching me. They feel a bit bashful. Yeah, get past all of that emotion. They swear they didn't. But I knew what was happening. The veil was coming down the vision. Reality was zitching out. They were no longer focused on the words, and then they were imagining. And then I could calculate how long it took them to imagine a certain scene, and depending on the type of scene they've just read, they're now envisioning it, and then this alters how long it takes them to read a book. Anyone can read a book, don't get me wrong. You can whiz through the book, but it don't mean that you've ever learnt anything. You know, fast learning, they call it. Where people are like, yeah, quick, right. You don't have any time to visualize at all. When people are left in their own devices, if you like, to read, there's this staring. They stare out. And the eyes sort of, you can see it in the eyes. It's subtle, but it's there. The eyes almost look like they're looking through the book. They're not actually focused on anything. They're imagining. So what's just happened right before their very eyes, this thing that you dub as appears to be crazy, that autonomously, without their control, everyone likes to be in control, but no one really is. Reality has just zoned out, the book has just zoned out. And really I should do it the other way, to be honest, but that would then mean that the quantum is in reality, and the reality field comes, the quantum comes through reality, which it kind of works like that. But it bounces. It's a very interesting thing. There's one internal and there's one external. It's almost like we've got a light behind us, that we can't see it. We can't look directly into it. And it hits the screen above. And there's a light that hits the screen from that side, and then you've got sunlight that also can scorch on the screen as well. But it's nonsensical. In your imagination, you get to mold the light. It's almost like the light inside us is like a divot. It maneuvers into certain patterns, shapes appear inside the light, which then create this almost eerie sort of audience member. Then if you look at bright lights, or there's a bright flash in the eyes, and you got that scorch mark on there, it's nonsensical. The imagination dances around it, but that acts like a burn, almost like a burn, a scorch mark. So I dare say it, if there was a high explosion, you would burn the screen beyond repair. If you were to look at the explosion, I think it would blind you. And that would mean that you're seeing the bleached screen, and because the screen is bleached, reality can't. Reality's hitting it. Don't get me wrong, but the screen has been tarnished, if you like. And it's almost like we're behind. Something's behind us, and we can't look directly at it for the same reason. It's too bright. It appears to be too bright. In the overwhelming darkness, the star appears to be really bright in the overwhelming darkness. So, when we're reading books, we zone off. You even do it when you're watching TV. That's incredible.
Or listening to radio.
Listening to radio.
Story especially.
How many of you build an image of what the person looks like that's talking on the radio, and then when you look them up, you're very disappointed. You like the version in your head more. You don't look nothing like what I thought.
Yeah.
You sort of build an image. Who the hell's face did you build? The brain is a powerful tool, very powerful. So you can build images, but even still, you might stare off and you don't notice you're doing it. Everybody else does. Some people, I find this weird, do it when they're driving. They zone out when they drive. And I'm like, oh, this is odd. They sort of get hypnotized, especially more at nighttime driving. That's very interesting. You'll be surprised how many people do that. That's very much, that is something, that is, I see some people do that and I'm like, shit me, man, you need to get more in control of that. You're imagining things. What are you thinking about? Oh yeah, I was miles away. Why you're on the fucking steering wheel, man? What the hell's wrong with you? Well, it's very normal, actually. It's very normal. It's hypnosis in a way.
You know, when I was younger kid, I didn't like long books, just short stories, and my mom would buy, or my dad would get some short stories, sci-fi stories, any kind of stories, or would be big book, but still with shorter stories, because I didn't like. My sister would read like big book, and it was boring for me the beginning when someone starts describing something from scratch, and they have to explain where it's happening, that there are these figures, that it's at this time and whatever, and it takes a long time before there is any dynamics. But then if the book is really big, or you have consequential books, then you don't need it after that.
So when the book gets interesting, that's when you are able to, you begin to imagine.
Yeah.
It's not that the book isn't interesting, it's just that you're not imagining yet.
In the beginning, it's too much description, like everything, whatever looks, and usually something starts in not very, everything is quite normal, whatever, if it's old times, new times, sci-fi times, and then something is happening, something is
Well, yeah, you've got to set the scene. If no one set the scene and I was to write a book and jump you straight into it, you would hate it. In the same way that you don't like it when you've got to read it. I think that's just how we are. We're 50-50.
When I was a kid, I was more impatient, so my parents would get the shorter stories or something like that, and then I would read it because it explained you something, but because the story was not that long, it didn't have to describe you that there was something in the corner and something over there and something over there, and describe you all those things that are everywhere here.
Are you sure? Because your poetry and motion right now, you would be able to set the scene perfect. Scene. I understand exactly what you're on about. I do. Yeah. I grew up with a sister like that. She'd tell you what they were wearing, what colour it was, buttons they had, whether they had Velcro, laces, what colour they were. And your point is this, this, and this. We just spent half an hour's worth of backstory, and you just told me like 5 nanoseconds worth of what actually happened. I'm lost. Anyway, but so when you're zoning in, zoning out, when you sit on the cusp and you play around with that, which I could do really well. I can do that really well. And with that, that's when you understand that there's this sort of... The more you do it, you'll understand that reality's in the background. And they are crashing through each other. And reality seems to be dimming down.
It used to happen to
One
me
is
once.
brightening, and the other one is dimming. But your eyes are open, and there's no change in the light. Actually, there is, because you live on a planet where there's clouds, and the star doesn't give out equal amounts of light. Actually, what I found, it used to bug me a lot when I was younger. When you see this stuff, you can never unsee it, and then you see it all the time. Where the sunlight intensity is flickering. That will... I'm not going to tell you how you see that, but you will see it. Once you see it, it takes, I don't know, it took me about 2 years to get used to that. It did bug me for a bit, and then I just had to accept it. When I first, some things you see are very hard to unsee, and they get very distracting. That is something, I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like the light of the star seems to be wax and wane. It's even more so when there are clouds. So certain clouds go over, and some of them are more thicker, and some seem to be more thinner. And as a result of that, it changes the brightness. It's almost like someone sitting with a TV moving the brightness up and down at different ratios. You're not doing it yourself, and it's set on random. Can you imagine watching a TV like that, where the brightness is up and down? Now, somebody else put this in, and I think it was called Philips opacity or something like that. I don't know, it was in one of the ambient lighting process. Oh man, I don't know why you would want that. That is like, yeah, okay, fair enough. It's most natural, by the way. Actually, it helps your TV last longer, and it stops your eyes from, you know, it's because you're naturally tuned to it. We're not naturally tuned to the sun being like, oh. It fluctuates, it really does, and that's amazing. And we would see this with stars as well. It just seems to be like a constant. Everyone's convinced it is a constant. It's constant. Nah, I don't see it that way. I see it fluctuating. It's very weird. It's very strange. It's more so with fires. I mean, you can trick yourself back out of it with a fire, but it is there. And then you've got different atmosphere, dust in the atmosphere, shite, clouds, this, that, everything else, and it's quite a lot to get used to. And when you see it, I think the eyes have a hard job focusing in that. They're constantly then, and then people are trying to, oh, what's wrong with your eyes? Why are your pupils doing that? Because the light is fluctuating. And my pupils are trying to gauge this, which is actually a healthy way to be. Most people will see it as problematic to see your pupils constantly, or they associate it with being on drugs, which is not. It's because my eyes are doing what they're meant to do, and so should yours. I don't know what it is with humans that they look drugged, because their pupils should be constantly. And some people say that this could cause you a lot of headaches. I think when they don't do it, it causes the headaches. When it does do it, it's quite alright, because my eyes are constantly trying to catch up with, which is great. What subtle changes in the cloud, and the pupils get big and then contract and get big and contract. Now, when you sit on the verge of this imagination, there is a part where you can focus dead set on the imagination, but also be aware. It's about awareness. It's almost like being aware of both of them at the same time, and dimming one down and brightening the other one up, which is interesting, to be honest. It is really interesting, and a lot of the time it works, but in really bright sunlight, it's a hell of a struggle. And then sometimes it works really easy in the sunlight. I think you just got to sit with it, and you're in like a trance state. And bit by bit, it starts with a trance, and if you blink, it sort of busts out that, you know, you're sort of in that, trying to get in that trance, which when you daydream, you go into a trance. Again, I think ancestors helped bring this out in humans by going into trances. That's why they used to try and get into it, animal spirit. And if you notice that they will stare, but they're not looking at anything, their eyes slightly, they're looking through things as opposed to at things. And it's just fascinating to see tribe members do this, to be honest, and I get it. I get that. When you can do that, that's when you can hold the state for a long period of time. And some of them will do this for days, around a fire, days and days, hours and hours. They're just in this trance state. They don't stop, they don't eat, they just keep going and going. And that's a beautiful place to be. Now, add that to this veil issue here, and then you've got to try and pause it. Now, how do I know that it's possible to pause it in between the two? Because you can pause on reality, and you can pause into the imagination. Reality, imagination. Imagination, reality. You do it every night. You dive into the quantum realm at night, and you're mainly in the physical realm. You know, you're more in the quantum than you are in the physical. Did you know that? You're less time in the physical, because you've got to factor in blinking. So if you understand that, you're blinking, heart ratio dips, your body is sort of Oh, it's interesting. It's a bit like a wave. On, off. On, off. A sort of life. That's the pattern of life. You're like a CCD. So rather than getting 240 volts straight to the electrical appliance and it blows up, that's what happened to your brain, technically. So you put in a CCD that chucks in a little bit of energy and turns it off. On, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. Well, this is already achieved in you. This is what's happening. And some life forms are interesting, that they are similar to other CCDs. So one is this ratio, another one could be this, another one is doosh, doosh, doosh. And then if you understand all the bits that make up your body, they're pulsing at a different ratio to you. Wow, that's a fucking hell of a harmony in that. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's, yeah, the planet, stars, yeah, it's all in that ratio, the life speed. Oh, it's really good, that is. That's really good. So we pause on one, we pause on the other. So when we go to sleep, we are pausing on a certain... We get into a frequency and pause for a bit, then deeper. You're going into trance every time you go to sleep. That is a trance. Your ears are playing frequency sounds. So the brain is playing sounds, although you are not aware of it. So not like the eyes are able to cast images, they are also able to see images. The ears are not only able to hear sounds, but they make sounds. These sounds are for you. It's weird. It's almost like it sends a vibration for you to hear back, which then creates a frequency through the ears. And this lulls the brain. So brain frequency should be associated to the sound that is coming from the ear. Hence why when you go to wake up, like another one I've been trying to be aware of, is when you start to shift back into waking or conscious state. It sounds like a very piss-poor aeroplane that lands on... It's like an aeroplane on a pyramid planet. It's in reverse, so we'll go the other way. This is, like I say, it's very backwards. The sound of the... And then reality comes in. And then you are awake. And the eyes, man, the eyes seem to be led by the ears when you sleep, when you wake. The first thing I do in the morning is open my eyes. Nah. Nah, the first thing you do is hear.
That you are awake. Or when you are in classroom, when you are daydreaming, kinda, or going into the daydream, and it's kinda nice. And then you hear the teacher calling your name, and you can
slowly, yeah. So when you're getting in a daydream state, you're playing a sound. When you feel fear, you play a sound. When you are in love, you're playing a sound. Now, the weirdest thing is, the people that took some sort of different naughties, I shan't say which ones, they felt incredibly loved up. But they missed it when it was gone. It was bizarre. They were hunting for sounds. Music became the closest thing that they were trying to find, which I figured it was a frequency. And whatever it was they took triggered a frequency in the ears. As this frequency held for a number of hours, that's what true love felt like. And that's why they were feeling, and it's at a very weak percentage. They're tapping into a band frequency. So this love feeling was actually a Hertz frequency that was being played by the body, and it's incredibly strong. So much so, it sits in that frequency, so it must be either higher than fear or lower than fear. Either one, it's the fine line between the two. So, and a bizarre thing is, they bounce into fear, then this love state, then back into fear, then back into groggy, back into this, then back into that. When you get ill, there's a different frequency. Your ears block. Tries to lull you. There is also a sound in death too. So ears are connected to vibration. Vibration would have been the first thing that your body understood. Why? Because it is so powerful. Can you hear love?
Not conscious. We don't know.
So as most people say, we feel love. But do you see love?
We don't know. We're wondering what is it.
But are you really hearing love? If it plays a frequency that when you get near someone, you begin emitting a frequency that then amplifies their frequency, which then amplifies your frequency. I'm not sure if this is in a Hertz frequency, which then makes the brain act in a certain way. And therefore, we feel. But we're sensing vibration as opposed to feeling. It's a vibration. And that's why that love feels inner. When you feel cold, does it feel outer? When you feel hot, does it feel outer? Is it an inner heat that you get? Have you ever felt an inner heat? Or do you just feel sort of cold? So when people are in love, they feel warm. That's another thing that's very peculiar with that. Everyone that has this same characteristic, they feel a warmth. Also, they feel cold when they are no longer in that frequency.
She's saying that love is warm.
So it would be nice to be able to generate a frequency that keeps you in a love format. The fear one is so worked out. Eventually it'll stop working altogether. What you'll get is, what I think would be better is if humans became fearless. Literally. And bit by bit, I think that what we're going to see is the next gen of humans are going to feel no fear. They're going to become fearless. And once that melts down and that's gone, it can never be used again. It'll be a door that once, I think it will begin to leach out, that one. So, could it already be preparing us for a love vibration? At the moment, you would say what? Fear is stronger than love. No, not stronger. Fear is more widespread than love. But when we think about it, love is stronger than fear. So people who are in a loved up state are nigh on impossible to control. Try and keep people in a loved up state away from whatever it is that's making them feel that. And some of them can get quite loved up with things that I don't know if you can get loved for. I don't know what that type of love is, that feeling of that love. Euphoric love for objects. I mean, that's strong. And then to get it with two people in that moment, that's power. That is real, true power, in the sense that it's a wonderful experience, and then it's like, hey, you come and touch this. Oh, did you see? Does it feel so good? Like you can see on a particular program. It's not just things like that, but still. Can you imagine that? Deep passion, love. And I think it's a frequency in the ears. Yeah, I think it is. I think the ears are generating a Hertz frequency. And there's also an awakening frequency as well, where you can wake yourself up. So in the mornings, there's a quick way to get up, two ways to get up. One is the natural, and in the other one is the shock, where the adrenaline kicks in and the brain rapidly wakes up, which stops you from paying attention to the and then reality exudes once again. So inner feeling, sounds, vibration, and sounds are vibration. So the ears back up as a double job. Therefore, feeling was more than hearing. So hearing was a secondary sensor. Seeing with the eyes is a secondary sensor. And sensing, being the temples, being the pressure points. We're not waiting for something to press down on you. I think these were literally really good at reading. And then you got to understand that then if these can feel pressure, can they give out a vibe? So any certain animals give out a frequency. Cats purr, yes?
Yeah.
Lions roar. It's not the roar that makes you feel, it's the frequency of the roar. So it emanates a frequency, a bit like an earthquake. And then dolphins give out a resonance frequency, which if you can hear it, I mean we can hear the clicks and clacks, but other than that, nothing else. But their prey feel it, to the point where it can disrupt the swim bladder, and it can stun the prey, can't it? Their prey. Dolphins can stun the prey. And then you have a life of vibration and inner sight. Yeah, interesting. And I think when you're fearful, you might play a sound, a certain type of frequency. Another one is if you get really scared, it's what I like to call, it sounds like someone's walking over stones. You ever heard that before? That sounds like something in your head is walking over stones. Gravel. You ever heard that? When have you heard that? But you're hearing your blood, aren't you? That's what it sounds like. It sounds like you're hearing your blood pump. But when you get scared, that activates too. But if you listen beyond that crunching sound, it wears down into a... And then this tells the brain, fire up all cylinders. When the brain notices that frequency, it's weird, isn't it? Isn't it strange that something might trigger you, the ears whack up a gear? Now, is this an easier way to fire you up, to alert you?
Just like see something or someone yells something but your own body is weird.
You know the planet has a frequency? Yeah, did you know that this frequency of the Earth, if it starts dipping, it's a life support system. When it knocks out of that frequency, some cataclysmic event is going to happen. And I think animals pick up on it. They hear this resonance frequency of the planet.
Yeah, that's how they detect
Earthquakes,
the
volcanoes, waves.
when people are playing in the water.
And this also gives them an advantage. They're able to get to safe areas. Yeah, I think it's a constant ratio, but inside that ratio there are splits in between this. So you could probably tell if winter's coming, at what ratio it's going to be coming. And the star also gives out a frequency. When it starts dipping above or below, it's going to pop. before it starts to explode, any life forms that are around will find it impossible. They will have this inner dread, and they won't be able to put their finger on it. They won't know what it is, but there will be this inner dread that something's not right. It's not a place to be for life forms, I can assure you on that. And the earth. It's inner dread, which people are like, oh yeah, I did feel that, you know? Don't know what it was. Well, take a look at your news. Was there an earthquake happen somewhere? And that makes me wonder a little bit more, is the planet is in a frequency state that you are born into at this leveled frequency. So more often than not, you don't notice it, but what you will notice if it goes up above it or below it. When it drops down or above, that's when you'll notice it. So you're tuned to it. So many frequencies. Deaf frequency, there's another. Anyway, so with these types of sounds, so far I can push out 3 different versions that I'm aware of. Maybe even 4. I'm not sure about another one. Yeah, I would need a very sensitive microphone to pick it up. I don't even know if a mic will do it. And what's more, you can hear it. So other people can hear it. Closer proximity they can hear it. But if it's creating a frequency, it's more of a feeling as opposed to a hear. You being able to hear it. Excitement. Deceit. It all depends where you're tuned. Yeah, and then I would like to figure out whether this generates a field, a magnetic field type. So I reckon on the moon, it feels like something's missing. It just feels like something's... And therefore, you might get in space a sense of peace, not fear. The fear ratio comes from the planet in its different frequency states. Yes, okay, in space, depending on where you are, that is going to be a lot less. And then this is going to trigger something in your brain. Now we must be projecting this field because, like I said, the pets at home were always around. I leave every door open in the house and it would be with me. They would always be with me, all of them. And they even settle their differences to do so. So am I generating a vibration when my frequency is in fear gear, and they know that every time they come close it turns off or shifts?
It harmonizes when everyone comes together and feels good to sleep together because
That's peaceful. And then you can be quite good to know it when they're in a... So that fear turns to love. You frequency, because rather than being worried of what's in the dark. Now, whether right nor wrong as to where I got that understanding that there's people in the dark trying to get you, it come from a lot of people saying that they're going to get you, and then you kind of grow with that. Well, what else can you do? That kind of makes you a bit, oof, oh fuck. At any moment it's going to be volatile, someone's going to kick the shit out the door, or they're going to get me through my window, I better shut the window, oh, can they get through here? Your mind is going 10 to a, you're in that state, and then in come your pets. And there's petting and the sensory, numbers, safety. And then they purr. Mother Dog Solar, he was a bit more. He just did that. He was really excited when he was doing that. So, and then I try and copy that by being like, "Oh, Solo, hello." And then this would trigger him off even more. So I guess we're trying to mirror image each other here. So, you know, I don't know, it's quite funny. Actually, it's you're thinking about that. And also he's doing that, she's purring. Which then when he's doing that, he's triggered up more because she's purring. And that sort of makes you just smile back and forth sort of thing. And he's getting excited and whatnot. Goes the tail. And then, yeah, this is when it distracts your mind, and then love becomes present. And then it kicks up a different frequency, which then is, this is not bad. Good, because now comes the acupuncture. Gentle paddle, anyway. I don't mind that. That's a soother. And then there's warmth.
Closer to say goodnight, and then they would stay there. Sometimes the smaller one here, and in the morning the big one would be coming and tapping me on the face like easy. It's 4 in the morning. It's 4 in the morning.
So there's that sort of resonance, and then there's that sort of harmony. Yeah. So then I was learning an awful lot about this and really questioning it when I was younger, and then, like I say, she got run over, and I thought it was just 2, but when speaking to the person who had the other cats, they said no, 2 of them. The other one managed to get away, but staggered away. The person ran over 3 at once. So, and then that was a blow for me. That was a big fucking blow, that was. And yeah, I guess that kind of, didn't like that. It's almost like it was relived here. Sorta, I don't know, kind of weird. And then you expect a certain type of outcome from that. So yeah, resonance, and then there's something with the stomach, or whatever that is. Man, I felt that vortex, Fibonacci sequence. But rather than it being drawn on a piece of paper, think of it more like a tornado. How I knew it was bigger, I don't know. It just felt it. It felt like it penetrated small to big, from big to small. It's what it felt like. I don't understand what that is. That I'm still trying to piece that together at the moment. But that could have been easily overlooked in the state of grief and emotional. And don't get me wrong, I was. But at the same time, there was one part of me could go off and grieve on that, and then the larger part of me could stay. Hey, you know, this bipolar thing isn't a bad thing if you use it correctly. I think often we give a bad rap to things because we don't know how to use it. You can use it to give a piece of yourself off to go and take care of the wound, whilst the larger part of yourself, think of it of physical memory and RAM. It's not enough to operate the whole of the system, but it's enough to operate this bit over here and go and take care of that. And then there's some sort of vortex. I mean, when I was mummifying him, that's something reached through. Now, I first thought it would be somewhere at the heart, right? It was the stomach, solar plexus. Oh, I don't know. It almost felt like something reached through, something, and it connected. I don't know if it was how I held. Yeah, because as I held him, his heart would have been against my heart, and his stomach was against mine, and his. It was my sort of goodbye, you know. Plus, with that strange music beforehand, it sounded angelic, didn't it? I kept hearing it bouncing on and off. I thought that maybe it was me. Maybe I was going crazy or something. You know, I didn't label it. I just was like, yeah, I don't know. How am I going to break the ice on this with everybody else here? Because you guys were, quite rightly so, dealing with your own trauma in your own way. I had to bring it up to you. You heard it, yeah? Unless we had some sort of shared mass hysteria. But yet, I didn't tell you what I was hearing. And then
you told me and I couldn't hear it, and then I moved. And after that I could hear it.
Once you heard it, it got louder. Yeah, it could become clear.
Before that I didn't know what I was trying to hear, so I was like, no, I can't hear anything. Because it was very faint. Then even though it was very faint, once I heard it, I heard it.
Yeah, for me, it didn't get any louder when I moved, and it didn't get any distance. It seemed to follow. It was almost like a radio playing right near you.
Yeah. But at first, I just didn't hear it because I didn't know what to.
Yeah, because you had to pay attention to it. That was the difference. That's the thing. And I was like, hello? What the hell is this? Oh man, can I hear that? I can hear that. Yeah, can I? Oh shit me. Oh, I can hear something. So a lot of things around that time, they've not really stopped, to be honest, but yeah, I can't put that down to internal. That's all happening external. And if it didn't happen external, would you believe it? That's the thing, right? See, so there's an awareness growing that internal no longer works, so external must be the next best thing. But it almost seems quantum reality. That's what it somewhere in between that. So there were a lot of things that were just magic. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that was an incredible feeling. I mean, that's something though, isn't it? To say in one of your lowest moments, you will also experience one of the most highlighting things that you can experience, which made the low seem insignificant, and this took up significance a lot more because of how big it was. I say was like it's past tense, but I'm on about that particular part. Yeah, that one with the stomach. I don't know. That was what happened. I mean, I haven't felt it since. It was incredible. It was strong. I can't explain what it felt like. A vortex is the only way I can explain it.
All of it. So when you said that I should try, it was
Yeah, but there was that sort of, you know, you need to give a hug. Oh yes. I mean, if you tell anyone that, they'll be like, "Oh, you must be crazy." No, I'm on about your inner voice. Everyone's got one. Something seemed very strong. Almost lured me to do that. It's not that I wouldn't have done, but it was before I started the process. But all the raps, whatever you want to call it, I don't really. You see, it's a good job we didn't go the first place that I was gonna lay him to rest, because they've dug that all up now. So just sort of stopped in that area. Wasn't gonna. And then they gone and dug it all up, I think, that area. It's all been dug out, hasn't it? And made wide and changed. They haven't touched that area for years, man. And then, I don't know, maybe it's just coincidence. But he's not there. It doesn't matter where he is, so... Well, that's just the vessel, if you want to call it that. I don't know, some people get this with humans, but again, it's that same... I think I've become aware of this. I didn't think it. A little bit more so. At the time of the car crash. Yeah. When it involved that little boy. Shan't say his name, but, you know, them. And then it's sort of, I don't know, you're a bit more aware. A little bit more. I don't know what that is. You would think that hospitals would have this stuff, wouldn't you? But is it because everyone's in that grief moment that they're not paying attention to it? Is it by design or accidental? You see, the sacredness and understanding this, there's rules been put in place now. There's customs that have been told to you. Actions how you're supposed to be. You've been programmed of what is expected of you. Whereas before, there was none of that. And then, is this where that spirituality came from? This, that? Because if it is, that's hard to dismiss. That's hard to put down as mentalness. And see, people won't talk about it even if they did experience something like that, because you're crazy. You see, the label is nothing more than a programmed mechanism, and a mechanism that makes you run back to the herd. Ah, man, I don't do that shit. If I would have done, I'd have done it years ago. That whole... And which I think that's more supportive than the grief process that's current. It's almost like we're expected to act in a certain way. And if we don't, you're a narcissist. Oh, that person did this. Da-di-da-di, this and this. Hey, I understand probably in your position. I'd probably do the same. I don't know though, but it just teaches you to be a bit more aware. Certain things and...
That my sister wore that black thing on her sleeve because maybe more for people than for herself. Also, maybe she was grieving, but... And I had a colleague who wore black top, even though otherwise she would never wear black when her husband passed.
Do we wear black because it means they've gone into the quantum, or they're in the bit that they know is there on the invisible? When we look in the quantum, is it quantum? No, it's called atomic. The atoms. Is that where that comes from? And the white is to be most physical. Wedding.
It's different in other cultures, so it's hard to say.
It's just weird where it comes from, where that is accepted to...
Because I think that for Christians, black is simply like sad color, so maybe it has more meaning. So it's connected with grieving, and maybe for Muslims, white is like pristine, like heaven. I'm just saying example, I have no idea, and that's why people would wear white. Would be something like that. Some symbolism.
Where did that multicolored flag come from? LBGT, is it?
I don't know. Black is color of darkness, of night. When someone dies and you lay them to rest, they stay out at night as well. Maybe that.
Do you often think that the certain types of striped colours that have been put into certain groups is to make anyone that comes out with anything, like what these colours could represent, to shame you away from? There was this scam going around where it was called transvestites something or other.com, and they were taking money out of people's accounts. And that was to prevent people, so I understood it, it was to prevent people from calling up the bank to ask for that money to be taken out, because it was a shame. Do you get that? There's a lot of shame on that. So people were more inclined to be, I'm probably not going to have that taken out, or I'm probably going to leave that, because they couldn't bring themselves. So they were targeting manly men. Do you get, yeah, you know what I mean? I'm not fucking... So that's a type of behaviour that most people use this, and you will be surprised. Some of it is obvious and some of it is not obvious to you. Do you get what I mean? And some people do this stuff and it's just like, whoa, I don't get it. So certain types of group ideology that they might put certain backing or symbology and different stuff like that, when really it's nothing to do with that. It's... So if you were to talk about it and draw the oh, that means peace. Well, actually, it doesn't. It means this, this, and this. Nah, you're a thief, you stole it, and then the shame makes you leave it alone. So if you talk about the black triangle versus the white triangle, you would probably conjure up a lot of stuff with that. One means physical, one is the invisible, but is still present. I guess that could be the chessboard as well. The seen and the unseen. The only reason why it's not seen is because it hasn't been worked out yet. But if you believe that it's because it's invisible, it's like saying that the speed of light, the speed of swimming, there is nothing else, and then you sort of limit yourself down. Why? Because you want to believe that it is. Seriously, if I figured that out, I would be saying the same thing. Actually, I wouldn't. I would toy with you. I would be like, nah. I don't know. I know something that you don't. I'm still telling you about it, but I know something that your belief system will never get around. And then that keeps you away from it. So if I did discover this, and I have made equipment around it, even if I told you it, you would be so adamant that it's not true, that it's all these labels. Do you see? And then my work remains hidden. So if I tell you that the speed of light is the fastest thing, but actually I know that the speed of darkness is faster. Well, what's that? It's the pull of this ratio, you know, space and everything else. Wait, what? No, this person said this, isn't this? Yeah?
But it is supported by whatever scientists or whoever they are say about the blackest color they discover discovered.
Did Einstein truly believe that, though? If Einstein truly believed that light was the fastest, then why was he looking at darkness to travel?
And he said that it was fastest known.
The fastest seen, the fastest observed.
And
That's a big difference.
And constant only under certain
Circumstances.
So that's too many if, maybe, because.
That's a very blank statement. I think, you know, that he didn't have enough time. That's pretty much it. He ran out of time. Now, had he had more time, you see, again, we often want to look at each other for, you know, bringing down places and doing this. But what happens if aliens, just going to ask this question, were able to capture Einstein and give him longer? How much data would they be able to get from him? You see, giving life. Well, it's socialism, isn't it? What do you get back?
Maybe they supported him and cheered him up.
Yeah.
And when he was talking about something, maybe they would help him to think about more detailedly or something like that.
I would be covert. And I would select these certain souls. And I'd let them walk into abundance. Why? Because I know that they would give me more. They'd give me more than what was even achievable here in this mayfly existence. Because I'd understand that sociology, this and this. Here, you tried it there. Do you want to try it here? What say you? I give you life. Long life. Good life. As many as you need. All the time. But we can offer a vessel. How long is that? How long do you want it to be? For as long as you've got, then we will continue. I ask for one thing in return. That you share your knowledge with everybody else, and everybody else will share their knowledge with you. This will help you expand your mind, and you will help them expand, and then they are going to help you expand. That's all you want? Yep, that is it. But I feel like I owe you something. No, you don't. You live however you want to live, but all I require is that. For as much as you're willing to give, when you're willing to give it. You want to rest? Rest. You don't feel like it? Don't worry about it. From the smallest drop to the smallest scribble to the largest book, and whatever you need to get yourself balanced and prepared to do that. Whatever you want. If we have it to give. What can I have? Dig in. Santa's sack waits for you. You will go far. You will see much. Together, we become everything. We become more than we was yesterday. Each year we become more than we were the last. We give to you. You give to us. These will tell you what is correct. Give it back to you in its broken format. If you want to have another go, have another go. You want to leave it and start again, or do the opposite to it? Mistakes, all of it. We will let you fail as many times as you want. We only need the one breakthrough. And we will not spit you out when we're done. vessels become precious. And therefore, everyone has to agree, sort your differences amicably. Besides, you're going to kill them, and then they come back, and you're going to do it again, and again, and again, and that becomes very pointless. More than enough space, more than enough time. You don't need to fill your head with these. Find the ones that do bring something to you. Generally, what do you reckon turns out from that? I would bounce from planet to planet, life form to life form. There's one guarantee on that. You'll go far. Learn much. And some things you can never learn in one life. Did you have enough time? No. Cloning technology? Ooh boy, that sounds crazy as well, doesn't it? Just like pushing your quantum out into your visual reality. It's not so crazy. You do it when you daydream, just that you're automatically doing this. You're creating sounds, that's automatic. I just figured that just like you can breathe and blink and be forceful of blinking and swallowing.
And you create sounds, you dream about people so their voices and stuff, and they are not there, let's say, about my parents or parents or some aunties, uncles, people, and you hear them talking.
Yeah, hear them talking. Yeah.
Even though you couldn't just fall asleep and by accident hear them because they are not there.
That would be crazy though, wouldn't it? I think we spoke about that once before, didn't we? We went into quite detail about it's weird how you can still hear your family that have passed. You can still hear the way your dogs barked, your cats meowed, your chickens cooed. Wait, that's a baby cooing, isn't it? Anyway, but still. You still remember. You still remember your kids as being young, the noises they made. I'm sure you can hear your nephews, the little baby noises they first made. These play on loop. And you can also retain music. Watch TV in your mind from an episode that you've seen. And also make character voices and build character profiles inside your mind. So radio station. And you visualize what you think they look like. Or the TV voiceover is going to look a little bit like something, and you're building this profile. And then you look at them and like, I wish I could forget. I liked my version better. Or sometimes you're like, whoa, that's not bad. You get in their brain.
Yeah, people who do voices over the cartoons, and then someone tells me, oh, that one was
A
Tom
girl.
Hanks,
Yeah,
that one
yeah.
was this. And I'm like, really? And if I saw Tom Hanks talking on some film or somewhere, that's his voice. But when they do some character or another actor, most of them I'm like, oh, is it them? It's definitely the character talks really well, and it takes me into that story and everything.
Well, I'm sure, yes, it's like most actors get into character before they take on a role. So there can be
They
differences.
alter their
Yeah, they do
voices
alter,
well,
that's what they are. That's how they get into this, and then, but the baseline is very uniquely them.
Some actors
Actually, they keep alternating characters so much that somewhere along the line you lose your own. You lose your own character. And then I think this makes them think deeply that I could have been anyone. Well, yes, that's your gift. You can truly be anyone. and then you start thinking deeper into that. I like that. I like to hear some stuff like that. It's not very often that people sit down and often view that from a really deep perspective. That's a lot of thought gone into that, so I admire that. So I'm gonna leave that alone because that's somebody else's, and they've got that pretty much covered, to be fair. That is beautiful. So given enough time, I'd ask the question, how many personas could you make? How many versions? Because you are basically what I would look at as a human army knife, being rather than Swiss army knife. You know, you've got the you can be many versions, which is the ability to change your avatar at will.
Yeah, I used to play when I was a kid with stuffed animals. I like more than dolls, more than cars.
Yeah, there's a difference with playing with characters as opposed to. It's very different
And
from an
giving them
actor's
voice,
perspective,
yeah.
right? They have to get into that role all the time, and then they have to try and hold on to that role, and they've got to clutch this new personality. Sometimes I think it's quite hit and miss, but usually they get the needle to balance. And then they've spent so long trying to home in and grab that character that it then becomes hard to let go. And usually if they've been in multiple different scenarios, different movies, different character, it requires a different sort of personality. You're playing a criminal, then you're playing a love movie, then you're doing it. Now you got to go back into your normal character. What was that? So when you're doing it with soft toys and that, you're getting there, but when you've got to act it, you've physically got to embody it. You've got to wrap yourself in it. That's when it becomes. And then when you've wrapped yourself in it, you know, usually you might be able to get into character, mate, now and then. But then to get in character and stay in character, that's the challenge. And then when you do lock into it, it's like you wish you could hold on to it, and then when you do, you're like, how do I let go? Do you get what I mean? Anyway, I shouldn't go in that one anymore because it's more. Someone else is talking about that. I think it's Jim Carrey touches in this. There's someone else that was talking about it. I can't remember the. Yeah.
In my country, many actors, because they act in theaters.
Yeah.
So in the evening they go and portray some role, and maybe during the day some of them go on TV and play in some never-ending soap opera or something. So they have to be able to divide that, and they have variety of roles in different ones. So then they talk about it like that they have to, some of them really have to get into that role, others are just natural.
Well, it's a gift to be able to kick into a gear and jump down. That's a hell of a gift. It can be seen as a lot of a burden, too much all at once, but you are them all. You could be anything you want to be. I guess once you've actors understand conditioning and deconditioning. I think I don't know if that makes sense. They got to condition themselves into something and then decondition themselves. Remember what you used to be and record it and visualize it with memories attached, and this helps you home back into your baseline. You get there in a bit, but it can be like a lost ghost wandering. That's the thing. And then when you sit down with it, you can anchor back into that. But, you know, you can seem lost. You might not be, but you can also get deep. You can get really deep in that. Yeah, it helps you understand humans a bit more, doesn't it? Like putting skin and putting a personality into a mannequin, maybe, or a skeleton. This one, that one, this one. But rather than it being that way, it's all in one. Mine. Mighty fine creation. I would say that. That's you found it by acting, but still, it's pretty impressive. I think we all do this in real life, really, don't we? Some people I know change when some people will say, why is it that when your mate gets with a girl, he becomes a real melt?
Real what?
Melt.
What is that?
They change. They become like, oh yes dear, sort of, and it's like, oh, fuck is this? So one friend would say, you're not how I remember you. You've just changed over
Or
here.
you know someone
Yeah.
from place where you grew up and maybe they moved from away.
Sociology, Petra.
Yeah.
Or
And
whatever
then
it's
you go
called.
back.
Sociopathy. No, not
And-
sure.
And then they talk suddenly the different dialect, like
Hey,
it's
these
not-
last few weeks, you've only been there a couple of days, but you've got a thick Russian on some of your words.
really?
Yeah, especially when you were saying box, it was a change. You picked it up really quickly, I think. Just not English.
But could it be also because I studied it as a kid?
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
That there's something.
Your pronunciation, and I noticed this with some other people. Louis goes to Australia, and Mari goes to Scotland, and some other people went to France, and they come back talking with a tinge. You can hear it. It's sort of like it's that's normal as well because kids usually pick that up. That usually comes from kids. Kids are very impressionable to the sounds, the majority of sounds, because of their accent. Accent is very... it would be an unfair social experiment to try, but still one... If you made a new type of sound, and maybe talking, or pidgin language, and you started talking this in front of some newborns, they would pick it up natural. And then you start a new sort of tone. It's almost like someone's gone to every part of Britain and I'm going to talk like this. Oh, laddie, let's get you over there now. I don't give you a whack across the back of the fucking foot, you know. I don't know. It's just trying to pick up. It's like everyone's gone everywhere around here and just done. I wonder how I can make these ones speak. I wonder what accent I can give you. And then we pick on this. Pick up, I should say, this different sound.
I recall that some girls in Czech Republic, if they were like at work somewhere serving customers or talking to someone, that they would use that correct language that is like polite and everything and then.
Yeah.
And then they step for a break, or you see them sometime after work, and they are as vulgar as, because that's their normal at home.
Yeah.
But
This would
they-
help me identify people that want to fit in a group.
But because at work you cannot talk like that,
Mm-hmm.
and in Czech sometimes it's that formal language can sound kind of a little bit unnatural sometimes. It's not like push. It just
Yeah, it's because you want to fit in. So if you sound like, you know, I'm like fucking London, innit, bruv? And I'm like talking like this, and then I get offered over to the king, and everyone's there's like, why are you talking like that, sir? Oh, like Mark, just, you know, a little bit, this erodes you. Why does it erode you? Because people keep on asking something which makes you stand out, and you don't want to stand out because your group mentality, so maybe you might start to talk like this, a little bit more posher, I guess. Oh, what part of the state did you grow up in, dear? Yes, you sound very well educated. Where did you come from? Oh, shit. You're probably less likely to stand out like a sore thumb. So you want to fit into the group. I often notice this with people, the group dynamic, the peer pressure to fit in with people. I notice this in certain people that before they go and work in a pub, and I notice the contrast after they've worked in a pub. Yeah, because I'm intermittent. I'll see you 1 minute, then I'll go away, life's happened, and then I see you again, and then I see the changes. So one person goes to work in a pub. Before that, they were usual, I suppose. And then afterwards, it was about maybe a year and a half, give or take. Fucking hell, like, fucking this, that, and the other. I was like gonna swing him out and fucking do this. It was F this, F that, shit this, shit. And that's, I think it's fitting. It's fitting in. You know, it sounds very stupid. Oh, would you like me to get you a pint? Yeah, alright, Ponzi. So it would be inclined for the posh person to then start, well, maybe I better dial it fucking down a little bit. Oh, that's better. Spiffing chap. You don't want to feel odd, so you want to fit, maybe you want to blend, so you're a people pleaser. Then you might start to do that. I just like mimicking. I like mimicking accents and stuff. I think it's brilliant. I love some. If I hear a bird, I'm going to try and mimic it. If I hear an animal, I'm going to say, "How are you doing that?" I must be able to do that, and I have the same vocal box as you do, sir. So you know, it's not about belonging. It's not that. And then there's some people I know that have gone through these groups, and they are actually sound as a pand. They sound the same. Anyway, I think people that are posh in London and people that are, I don't know, would you say common people? I suppose they are common if you're posh in London. Whatever. People that talk a little bit more this way and people that talk this way, you know, I think they're very similar. Hey boy, how do you do? Oh man, I'm like, fucking hell, mate, he's not fucking something, that sort of thing. Man, both of you have got things in common. No, we don't. Yes, no, we definitely don't. Oh, fuck, no, I got nothing in common in there. You both barely even heard their language out of your mouths, boy. You barely let it sit on the throat.
It's hard to understand you both.
Yeah, you both kind of cut corners with it. Oh, right, no. No. It's like it barely sits. It barely sits. Anyway, it's not that I'm judging. I'm just fascinated with the differences there and why we do it. And you can have some people that are in that group and this group. Doesn't really matter. No one's better than the other, although it may sound like it. Or we've been taught to put emphasis on this one is posh, this one is rich, this means money, this means establishment. So if I sit here talking like this, and I have done it, I have turned a few fucking heads. People ask me what stuff of state do I get. I'm like, fucking hell, I'm drawing you all out like a homing beacon on this. Oh man, it's funny, and then you gotta keep up appearances, and then, yes, just coming out with all these big words. I don't even know what the fuck I just said, but apparently it fits, because, you know, it's amazing. People hold doors open for you. Half of them rip the piss out of you, but still. Oh my days. How do you talk like that now? It's like, oh, just dib, you know, pip pip and tally ho and stuff, you know. I just got to belong. I feel a little bit out of place, don't you? Much like a chair that's not been tucked underneath its table, dear boy. Are you alright? Yeah, I'm great. Oh, there you are. Right, you know, it's weird. Sometimes it's about fitting, not to be singled out. And most people don't like being singled out. So even if they went to another nation, are you really from here? I can hear your accent is a little. So that might put the pressure on to sort of blend in, because that might be an inward, oh shit, I'm a guest. I don't like being a guest here. No, so yeah, so you might pick up the tinge. And then your kids fucking fluent in the accent. Do you know the language? No. But they're really fluent in it, but they still pick up that tinge of the... It's still there. That's fucking amazing, that, but you know. No, I do not do this, you know. Oh, Bobby. You know, this is fitting in, that's all it is. And some people do, some people don't. Meh. Acting, really? And what do you act for? To please the audience. It is true. People pleasing, audience pleaser, I think is probably more so. It's the only job where you can never be yourself, is acting. You have to wear a billion masks, don't you?
Some people say it's easier that way.
Yeah, I suppose it could be, yeah. It could be chameleon. Is it chameleon? Yeah, depending on the environment, they blend to fit in. Or they stand out like sore thumbs.
And in some acting, they have to stand out like sometimes if the role requires that.
Yeah, it's kind of strange in some, because some people expect people to be this sort of thuggy gangster, but they've just put a persona on, they've just acted a certain movie, and then you get to know them and they're nothing like that. And you're like, hey man, that's fucking weak, mate. I thought you was like in it. you know, if I were to take that acting home with me, I didn't, but if I did, that would be like you taking your work home. Homework, you know? Yeah, I see your point. And I don't do homework. I do work, and then I do me home. Yeah, I think some of us are different inside our own home as to what we are outside, and put on faces all the time, don't we? And we see the fucking demons come out of people behind a keyboard. Yeah, fucking right. It makes it only too easy, doesn't it? I think we're gonna have to ban social media to all of the kids. Have you seen your society? It's fucking worse in the streets. Fucking hell, this looks easy. That's a bit more of a challenge, isn't it? Jesus. But yeah, no, I'm going to leave this one here. That was very fun. That was a nice, interesting sort of journey in that, so it is what it is.